Burn that photo, Claire, or everything you believe about your mother will die tonight. Ethan Walker had never raised his voice at his daughter before. Not when she dented his pickup at 16, not when she came home past curfew, not even when the scholarship letter from Ohio State arrived, and she admitted the $18,000 award would not cover everything. But now, standing beneath the buzzing fluorescent light in the garage, his face had gone pale, and the hand reaching for the Polaroid was shaking. Claire held it tighter. She had only come downstairs to find jumper cables. Her car would not start. The temperature outside was still 82 degrees, and she was supposed to meet friends at the Bellwether Diner. Instead, she had opened the red toolbox beneath the workbench, found a yellow envelope under oil-stained receipts, and pulled out a photograph that made the room feel smaller. The picture showed a silver Ford pickup truck parked beside the old grain road outside Bellwether, Ohio. The front bumper was bent. One headlight was dark. Ryan Walker, Ethan's younger brother and the man the town planned to name Citizen of the Year in less than 3 days, stood beside the open driver's door. Behind him, the clock on St. Matthew's Church Tower read 2:17 in the morning. On the back, written in Ethan's handwriting, was a warning Claire could not stop reading. July 5, 2011. Do not let Claire see this. That was the morning Hannah Price died. Everyone in Bellwether knew the story. Hannah had been 17, last seen walking home after the 4th of July fireworks. A mechanic named Marcus Reed had been convicted after Ethan's testimony placed him behind the wheel of the silver truck. Ryan later organized memorial fundraisers, and the Walker Community Foundation created a scholarship in Hannah's name. Claire had grown up hearing that Ryan helped the Price family survive the worst year of their lives. She had also grown up knowing her mother, Julia, died 8 months later, though Ethan never discussed either tragedy for more than a few seconds. Now Ryan was in the photograph beside the truck prosecutors had linked to Marcus, and Ethan looked like a man watching a locked door swing open. "Give it to me," he said. Claire stepped back. "Why is Uncle Ryan standing next to that truck?" Ethan glanced toward the garage window. Beyond it, sprinklers ticked across dark lawns, and cicadas buzzed around ranch houses where neighbors remembered unfamiliar cars. "You found something that does not belong to you. It has my name on it." "Claire, who took the picture?" Ethan's jaw tightened. He had spent 20 years fixing engines and rebuilding transmissions, making a living from the belief that every problem had a part that could be removed and replaced. But there was no tool in his hand now, only the photograph. Claire looked down again and noticed details she had missed. The driver's door was open. Ryan was not looking at the camera. He was looking past it, toward someone outside the frame. A dark shape rested on the passenger seat. In the side mirror, there was a pale blur that could have been a face. "Was he driving?" she asked. Ethan did not answer. The silence felt heavier than a confession. Claire pulled out her phone and photographed the Polaroid. Ethan moved so quickly that she nearly dropped it, but he stopped before touching her. That hesitation frightened her more than the shouting. "Delete that. Tell me the truth. Delete it now. You testified that Marcus Reed drove the truck." "I know what I said." "Then why is Ryan here?" Ethan pressed both hands against the workbench and lowered his head. For 1 second, Claire thought he might finally speak. Instead, he said, "Some truths do not set people free. They only decide who gets destroyed next." The words sounded rehearsed over years. Claire searched his face for the man who packed her lunches after Julia died, sat in the front row at every school play, and once drove 12 miles through a snowstorm because she had forgotten her inhaler. That man was still there, but now she could see the wall he had built around part of himself. 15 years of careful silence. 15 years of looking away whenever Hannah Price's name appeared in the paper. 15 years of changing the channel whenever Ryan spoke about justice. "Did you lie in court?" Claire asked. Ethan looked up, and the answer appeared in his eyes before he could hide it. A vehicle turned onto the street. Headlights swept across the garage wall and stopped in the driveway. Ethan straightened. Claire heard a door close, followed by footsteps on the concrete. 3 slow knocks sounded against the side entrance. Ethan took the Polaroid from her hand, slid it into the envelope, and locked it inside the toolbox. "Go upstairs," he said. "Who is it?" Another knock came, harder this time. Ethan did not need to look through the window. "Ryan." Before Claire could ask another question, Ryan's voice came through the door, calm and familiar, the same voice Bellwether had heard at charity dinners and football games for years. "Ethan, open up." We need to know exactly what she saw. Claire slipped her phone into her back pocket before Ethan opened the garage door. Ryan Walker stepped inside wearing a navy blazer over an open-collar white shirt, looking less like a man making a late-night family visit and more like someone arriving to contain a problem before it reached the morning news. His silver sport utility vehicle idled beneath the porch light. Ryan looked first at Claire, then at the locked red toolbox. "You should be at the diner," he said. "Your father said your car would not start." Claire watched Ethan place the toolbox key in his pocket. "I found something while looking for jumper cables." Ryan gave Ethan a long, controlled stare. "How much did she see?" "Enough to know you were beside the truck," Claire said. Ryan did not deny it. "A photograph can show where a person stood. It cannot tell you why he was standing there." "Then tell me why." "Because your father called me." Ethan turned sharply. "Ryan, she is 18 years old, Ethan. You cannot order her upstairs and expect the world to return to the way it was." Ryan stepped closer, keeping his voice low and almost gentle. It was the same voice he used at school assemblies and county meetings. "That night was confusing. Your mother was already struggling. Your father was trying to protect you from losing more than you could understand." "Who took the photograph?" Claire asked. Ryan glanced toward the toolbox. "That does not matter. It mattered enough for Dad to hide it for 15 years. Ryan reached into his blazer and removed a folded memorial program. Hannah Price smiled from the cover in a graduation gown she had never lived long enough to wear at graduation. Beneath her photograph were the words 15 years of remembrance and service. Ryan's name appeared near the bottom beside the Citizen of the Year presentation. "The memorial is Sunday," he said. "Hannah's mother will be there. Marcus Reed may arrive with supporters. Reporters from Columbus may attend. One careless accusation could turn grief into spectacle." Claire looked at Ethan. "You testified against Marcus." Ethan kept his eyes on the floor. "Yes." "Did you see him driving that truck?" Ryan answered first. "Your father testified under oath." The court accepted his statement. "That was not my question." Silence filled the garage, broken only by the box fan turning near the back wall. Ryan folded the program. "Go to the memorial. Honor Hannah. Accept the Hannah Price Memorial Scholarship from the Walker Community Foundation. Then leave for college and build a life larger than this town. The scholarship is $18,000. It does not buy my silence." Ryan's mouth tightened. "No one is buying anything." "Then why are you here after 10 o'clock at night?" Ethan moved between them. "That is enough." Claire walked into the house, but she stopped in the dark kitchen and listened through the thin door. "You said the photograph was gone," Ryan whispered. "I thought it was. You should have destroyed it." "I could not." "Then you had 15 years to tell me where it was." Ethan's reply was barely audible. "I kept it because somebody had to remember what we did." Claire did not sleep. At sunrise, she searched old newspaper archives and wrote down every reference she could find to the case. When the courthouse opened, she requested the public file. The prosecution had depended on two things: a repair invoice connecting Marcus to the silver truck and Ethan's claim that he saw Marcus behind the wheel near Old Mill Road shortly after 2 in the morning. Yet Ethan's first recorded statement said he had seen only the shape of a man. His second mentioned a dark jacket. His third, given after a private meeting with the county prosecutor, named Marcus. Each version became more certain while the details became less consistent. In the first, Ethan was half a mile away. In the second, he was 200 feet away. In the third, he claimed the truck passed close enough for him to recognize the driver. Mrs. Donnelly, the records clerk, remembered Walter Walker sitting behind the prosecutor every morning of the trial. "That family had influence back then," she said. "Walter owned half the commercial property on Main Street. People listened when he spoke." Property records revealed something stranger. 2 weeks after the conviction, a recorded satisfaction showed that the $92,000 mortgage on Ethan and Julia's house had been paid in full. Walker Holdings, Walter's company, was listed as the remitting party. At noon, Claire drove 11 miles beyond Bellwether to Marcus Reed's apartment above a tire shop. He opened the door only a few inches. He was 42, thinner than the photographs from the trial, with gray beginning at his temples. "My name is Claire Walker. I know who you are. I found a photograph from that night." Marcus looked past her toward the parking lot. "Your father finally decided to speak?" "No. Then the photograph will not make him honest." Claire showed him the image on her phone. Marcus studied Ryan beside the open door, then the church clock in the background. 2:17, he said. Your father told the jury that truck was already 10 miles south by then. Did he see you that night? Marcus looked directly at her. Your father saw someone he loved more than the truth. When Claire returned home, Ethan was sitting at the kitchen table. She placed the 3 statements and the mortgage record in front of him. Your story changed 3 times. Granddad paid off $92,000 after Marcus went to prison. Ryan was beside the truck at 2:17. Tell me what happened. Ethan read the documents slowly. Ryan was there, he said at last. Was he driving? Ethan closed his eyes. No, then who was? He looked toward the framed photograph of Julia on the living room wall, but he did not answer. Ethan kept his eyes on Julia's photograph for so long that Claire understood his silence was not uncertainty. It was recognition. You looked at Mom when I asked who was driving, she said. Ethan pushed back from the table. I looked at a picture. You looked at her. Claire, stop. Ryan was not driving. Marcus was not driving, and you will not say who was. That leaves someone you are still trying to protect. Ethan gathered the statements, but Claire placed her hand over them. Did Mom know what happened? His expression tightened. Claire had spent her entire life learning the language of his silences. Your mother was not well that year, he said. What does that mean? She was not sleeping. She was frightened all the time. She thought everyone could see our family falling apart. That still does not answer me. Ethan lifted the red toolbox and carried it toward the garage. Claire followed. Who took the photograph? He stopped at the doorway. I do not know. Mrs. Price might. Ethan turned away, but Claire noticed something in the framed photograph she had taken from the wall. It showed Julia at the Bellwether 4th of July festival, wearing a red cardigan over a white blouse. Behind her stood the same silver pickup. On the back, someone had written July 4th, 2011. This was taken hours before Hannah died. Ethan reached for it. Claire stepped back. Why was Mom near that truck? Ryan had taken it from the Walker Holdings fleet. Marcus was linked to it. Marcus repaired it. He did not own it. The admission came too quickly. Claire felt the case rearranging itself around a news center. The truck belonged to Walter's company. Ryan had access to it. Julia had been photographed near it. Ethan had lied about seeing Marcus behind the wheel. Where was Mom after the fireworks? Home. What time did she get home? I do not remember. You remember enough to identify a driver from 200 feet away, but not when your wife came home. Ethan opened the garage door and stepped into the summer heat. I have work. It is Friday. Then I will find something to fix. By 4 that afternoon, Claire was sitting in a booth at the Bellwether Diner, 3 blocks from the courthouse. The walls still displayed photographs from football seasons, charity breakfasts, and 4th of July parades. One showed Julia behind the counter, laughing with a waitress Claire did not recognize. The manager identified the waitress as Linda Carver, who now lived outside Dayton. Claire found Linda through a public directory. Linda remembered Julia immediately. She came in after the fireworks, she said. She looked upset, but she was trying not to show it. Was she alone? At first. Ryan arrived later. Did she leave with him? Linda paused. No. Ryan told her not to drive, but she took the keys anyway. Keys to what? A silver pickup. It was parked under the streetlight. What time? A little after 1:30 in the morning. The grain road where Hannah died was less than 4 miles away. Did anyone take pictures that night? Claire asked. Samuel Price did. He was documenting the festival. After Hannah went missing, he drove around looking for her. Samuel, Hannah's father, had died 7 years earlier. At the library, Claire searched archived reports. The evidence list mentioned several rolls of film and an instant camera collected from Samuel, but the Polaroid had never been introduced at trial. Claire called Mrs. Price. A tired voice answered. Your family has taken enough from mine, Mrs. Price said after Claire introduced herself. I know. No, you do not. Claire described the photograph, Ryan, the church clock, and the writing on the back. Mrs. Price drew a slow breath. Samuel took it while he was searching for Hannah. He gave it to your father for one night, because Ethan promised to bring Julia to the sheriff in the morning. Why would he give away the only copy? Because he trusted your father to do one decent thing. The next morning, Ethan denied receiving it. Samuel reported what he had seen, but without the photograph, the sheriff treated him like a grieving man who wanted someone to blame, and his statement never reached the defense. Did he keep another copy? Instant photographs do not come with copies. Then why did Dad keep it? Ask him why guilt mattered more to him than justice. Claire drove home through a hard summer thunderstorm. Ethan was standing beneath the raised hood of a customer's sedan. She placed Julia's festival photograph beside him, along with a photocopy showing that the truck belonged to Walker Holdings. Linda saw Mom take the keys. Samuel photographed the truck while he was searching for Hannah. Ryan was beside it at 2:17. "What are you hiding?" Ethan lowered the hood without closing it. "Your mother was scared. Ryan was trying to help her. I was trying to keep the family together." "From what?" He looked toward the locked toolbox. Claire held out her hand. "Open it." Ethan stood motionless for several seconds, then removed the key from his pocket. Claire took out the Polaroid and held it beneath the work light. She magnified the image on her phone and increased the brightness. The pale blur in the side mirror sharpened into the reflection of a woman with light hair and a red cardigan. Claire compared it with the festival photograph. The face was the same. She turned toward Ethan, but his expression had already confirmed it. "Mom was in the truck," Claire said. Ethan closed his eyes. "She was driving it." "Yes," Ethan said. "Your mother was driving." The words entered the garage quietly, but Claire felt them erase the shape of her childhood. She looked at Julia's reflection in the side mirror, the red cardigan, the pale face, the woman whose framed photograph had watched over every birthday and Christmas since Claire was 3 years old. "Say the whole thing," Claire said. Ethan reached for the Polaroid, but she held it against her chest. "You have protected this picture longer than you protected the truth. You do not get to take it away again." Ethan lowered his hand. Summer rain tapped against the garage door, and water gathered beneath the sedan behind him. "Your mother went to the festival because she wanted one normal night," he said. "The steel plant had closed. We were behind on the mortgage. She was not sleeping. She believed everyone in Bellwether could see us falling apart. So she took the truck. Ryan had taken it from the Walker Holdings fleet because his own car was being repaired. Julia took the keys from the diner after he told her to wait. She believed she could drive home." Ethan paused. On Old Mill Road, she saw Hannah too late. "She stopped at an all-night gas station 2 miles away and called me from the clerk's telephone." "Why did she call you instead of the sheriff?" "She was terrified. She kept saying you would be taken away from her. You were 3 years old. She believed one mistake would cost her everything. And you agreed." "I drove to the road." Ryan arrived a few minutes later. He moved the truck farther from the highway. That was when Samuel Price took the photograph. "Hannah's father saw you. He saw Ryan beside the truck and Julia inside it. At first, he did not know Hannah was the girl everyone was searching for. When he understood what the photograph might mean, he came to our house. Samuel gave me until morning. I promised I would bring Julia to the sheriff myself. When I denied receiving the photograph the next day, Samuel reported the encounter, but without the print, his account was dismissed as grief and confusion. But you still had the picture." "Yes. And you still lied." Ethan looked toward the floor. "My father came before sunrise. He said Julia would go to prison, you would lose your mother, and the bank would take the house. He said I had no job, no savings, and no way to raise you alone. Then he said he could make the problem manageable." "Manageable for whom?" "For us." Marcus Reed spent 13 years in prison. Ethan flinched at the name. My father knew Marcus had repaired the truck. He knew Marcus had disputed an unpaid repair invoice with Walker Holdings. Walter told the sheriff that Marcus might have taken the vehicle. By then, they already wanted someone they could place near it. All I had to do was confirm what they wanted to believe. Claire spread the 3 statements across the hood of the sedan. "That is why your story changed. The first time, I said I saw only a figure. My father said that would not be enough. Before the second interview, he made me practice describing a dark jacket. Before the third, he sat outside the county prosecutor's office and told me your future depended on whether I could say Marcus's name without hesitating. And the $92,000? He paid the mortgage. He called it protection." Claire felt something colder than anger settle inside her. "You sold a man's life for a house. I told myself I was saving my daughter. Do not use me to make this noble. I was 3 years old. I did not ask you to lie. I did not ask Granddad to pay the mortgage. I did not ask you to build my life on what happened to Marcus." Ethan pressed both palms against the sedan. "I know that now. You knew it then. Knowing something is wrong does not always make a person strong enough to stop. Then stop calling it protection. Call it fear." Ethan looked at her. It was fear. Claire placed Julia's festival photograph beside the Polaroid. In one image, her mother smiled beneath strings of red, white, and blue lights. In the other, she appeared as a frightened reflection trapped inside a mirror. Did Mom know you blamed Marcus? Yes. At first, she begged me not to tell anyone. After the trial, she wrote letters to the Price family and tore them up. She wanted to confess, but Walter watched her constantly, and Ryan kept telling her the truth would destroy you. And 8 months later she was gone. Ethan nodded. After that, I thought about telling the sheriff every day. Granddad died 10 years ago. Mom was already gone. Why did you keep lying? Ethan turned toward the rain-darkened window. Every July 5th, I drove 106 miles to the prison. I filled out the visitor form and carried a confession in an envelope beneath the passenger seat. Then I watched families enter, imagined Marcus looking at me, and drove home. Marcus told me. Every year, leaving became easier than walking inside. Claire refused to look away. You told yourself you were protecting Mom's memory. Then you told yourself you were protecting me. But Granddad was dead. Mom was dead. I was old enough to survive the truth. Marcus was still paying for your lie. Who were you protecting? Ethan slowly faced her. Myself, he said. By then, the silence was not saving our family. It was saving me from admitting that I had become the kind of man who could live with it. Claire left the garage with a copy of the photograph on her phone, but Ethan locked the original Polaroid inside the red toolbox. By Saturday morning, the overnight thunderstorm had left Bellwether with dripping roofs, wet sidewalks, and church signs announcing the memorial scheduled for the following afternoon. Claire had slept less than 2 hours when Ryan arrived. He waited inside his silver sport utility vehicle until she came outside, then lowered the passenger window and asked her to get in. Claire remained on the sidewalk. Whatever you have to say, you can say it here. Ryan looked toward the neighboring houses. Your father told you everything. Enough. Then you know this is more complicated than one photograph. Marcus lost 13 years. Hannah's family lost 15 years of the truth. That is not complicated. Ryan opened the passenger door. A blue folder marked Walker Community Foundation rested on the seat. Your scholarship covers $18,000. Ohio State will cost more once housing, books, transportation, and fees are included. The foundation can guarantee $250,000 for your education and graduate school. Claire stared at him. You said no one was buying anything. I am giving you the future your father wanted for you. In exchange for the photograph. Ryan's expression hardened. In exchange for restraint. Julia is gone. Walter is gone. Reopening this will not return anyone's time. It might return Marcus's name. A name will not rebuild 13 years. Then why are you afraid of him getting it back? Ryan closed the folder. Your mother will become a headline. Your father will face charges. Hannah's mother will be forced to relive the worst night of her life. The garage will close. Your house could be lost in a civil case. You could lose everything. Those are consequences. They are not reasons to keep lying. Your father believes confession will make him honest again. It will not. It will only make everyone suffer with him. Claire stepped away. The memorial starts at 2 tomorrow. By then, either he tells the truth or I do. Ryan watched her walk toward the house. You sound like your mother, he called. Claire turned. Did she want to confess? Ryan did not answer. Inside, Ethan sat at the kitchen table with a legal pad and an uncapped pen. Several pages were already filled in his careful handwriting. I am writing everything down, he said. The truck, the statements, the mortgage, Walter, all of it. Are you taking it to the sheriff? Tomorrow morning. Why not now? Because I need to speak with Mrs. Price and Marcus first. You do not get to ask their permission. I am not asking permission. I am giving them the chance to hear it from me before the town does. They drove 11 miles to Marcus's apartment above the tire shop. Ethan carried a copy of the confession in a plain envelope. Marcus opened the door, saw Ethan, and almost closed it again. I came to tell you I am going to the sheriff, Ethan said. Marcus studied him. You came because your daughter found the photograph. Yes. Not because you became brave. No, Ethan held out the envelope. Marcus did not take it. Do not hand me your guilt and call it justice. I spent years imagining this moment. Now I only want the record corrected. It will be. Then do it without asking me to help you feel forgiven. Ethan lowered the envelope. You are right. Before they left, Marcus looked at Claire. Do not let them turn you into the reason they finally told the truth. They made their choices before you were old enough to understand them. Their next stop was the Price home, less than a mile from the high school stadium. Mrs. Price opened the door, but did not invite Ethan inside. She wore a cardigan with Hannah's memorial ribbon pinned near the collar. Ethan offered her a copy of the confession. She left it unopened. "I do not want paper," she said. "When you reached Old Mill Road, was my daughter still there?" Ethan looked at Claire, then back at Mrs. Price. "Yes." Mrs. Price gripped the doorframe. "Was she able to call for help?" "Yes." Claire felt the world narrow to Ethan's voice. "I started toward her, but Julia was inside the truck, panicking. Ryan said someone would come along soon. He said we had to move Julia before anyone saw her. I listened to him." "How long before you called 911? 11 minutes. Cars passed at the end of the street, tires whispering across wet pavement. Finally, Mrs. Price said, 'Tomorrow, do not say you protected your family. Say you left my daughter waiting because you chose your family over her.'" Ethan nodded. "I will say it exactly that way." That evening, Claire saved the photograph and confession in 3 separate locations. She sent copies to a reporter in Columbus with instructions to publish if she did not contact him by 3 the next afternoon. Ethan placed the original Polaroid and his handwritten confession inside the yellow envelope. "I will be at the sheriff's office when it opens," he said. Claire wanted to believe him, but 15 years of silence stood between his promise and the truth. At 7 the next morning, his bedroom was empty. His truck was gone. The red toolbox stood open in the garage. The yellow envelope, the confession, and the original photograph had disappeared with him. On the kitchen table, Ethan had left his wedding ring and a note containing 6 words. "I have to finish this myself." Claire read the note twice, then called Ethan until his voicemail answered for the 4th time. At 8 in the morning, she drove to the Bellwether Sheriff's Office, but the desk deputy would only say that no one was available to speak with her. Ethan's truck was nowhere. By noon, memorial banners hung from the high school stadium fence. Claire stood near the entrance with Ethan's wedding ring in her hand, wondering whether his final act of silence had been to disappear with the only original evidence. Ryan found her near the ticket booth. He wore a dark suit, a red tie, and the gold lapel pin given to county officials. "Where is your father?" he asked. "You tell me." He took the photograph and his confession. Then perhaps he finally understood what public humiliation would accomplish. "You think he ran?" Ethan has spent 15 years avoiding one terrible decision. People do not become different because they write a few pages at a kitchen table. Mrs. Price arrived carrying the unopened copy of Ethan's confession. Marcus sat at the far end of the front row, where several residents avoided his eyes. Claire sat beside him. "I sent copies to a reporter," she said. "The story will come out even if the original is gone." Marcus looked toward the stage. "A digital copy can show what was in the picture. The original can prove it was there 15 years ago. Do you think he destroyed it?" "I think fear has had 15 years of practice." At 2 o'clock, the mayor spoke about community, memory, and the duty to protect one another. Hannah's photograph stood beside the podium. When Ryan's name was announced, the crowd rose. He crossed the field and accepted a glass award engraved with Citizen of the Year. Claire's phone vibrated. A message from the Columbus Reporter contained 4 words: "We are ready now." Ryan placed the award on the podium. 15 years ago, Bellwether lost one of its brightest young people, he began. Since that night, this town has chosen service over anger and unity over division. A truck door closed behind the stadium. Claire turned. Ethan was walking through the open gate, carrying the yellow envelope. His shirt was wrinkled, and his face looked exhausted. A sheriff's deputy followed several steps behind him. Ryan stopped speaking. Ethan continued across the field until he reached the stage. "I need the microphone," he said. Ryan leaned close enough that only the first rows could hear. "Think about Claire." Ethan looked toward his daughter. "I finally am." The mayor glanced at the deputy, then handed Ethan the microphone. The crowd settled into uneasy silence. Ethan removed the Polaroid from the envelope and held it up. This photograph was taken at 2:17 in the morning on July 5, 2011, he said. "It shows the silver truck connected to Hannah Price's death. My brother Ryan is standing beside it. My wife, Julia Walker, is reflected in the side mirror. She was driving that truck." A murmur moved through the seats. Ethan described the telephone call, Samuel Price's photograph, Walter's pressure, the paid mortgage, and his changing statements. Then he looked directly at Mrs. Price. "When I reached Old Mill Road, Hannah was still asking for help. I left her waiting because I chose my family over her. 11 minutes passed before I called 911. Nothing I say today can return those minutes. Mrs. Price sat perfectly still, holding Hannah's program against her chest. Ethan turned toward Marcus. I identified Marcus Reed, even though I did not see him driving. I knew my statement could send an innocent man to prison. I gave it anyway. Marcus rose, but did not approach the stage. Correct the record, he said. Do not ask me to correct your conscience. I will not, Ethan replied. He handed the original photograph and written confession to the deputy. Claire understood where he had been. He had spent the morning at the sheriff's office giving a recorded statement and surrendering copies of the evidence. He had returned with a deputy because private honesty could not repair a public lie. Ryan stepped toward the podium. This statement comes from a man under severe emotional strain. My family has endured grief, confusion, and manipulation. Ethan looked at him. No, Ryan. We made choices. The mayor quietly removed the glass award. By the end of the week, Ryan had resigned from the county commission, and the board of the Walker Community Foundation had suspended every program connected to him. Marcus's attorneys filed a motion using Ethan's statement and the original photograph. 3 weeks later, after the county prosecutor joined the motion, a judge vacated Marcus's conviction. Outside the courthouse, reporters asked whether he forgave Ethan. Marcus looked across the steps at the man whose words had taken 13 years from him. Forgiveness is not evidence, he said. It does not belong in the record. Over the following months, Ethan accepted a plea agreement on charges connected to his false testimony and concealment of evidence. The garage closed, and the house was sold as part of the civil settlements. Claire lost the $18,000 scholarship connected to Ryan's foundation, but an independent journalism organization offered enough support for her first year at Ohio State. She left Bellwether in August, driving 140 miles with 2 suitcases, a box of books, and a copy of the Polaroid sealed inside an envelope. Before her second semester began, she visited Ethan at the correctional facility. A thick glass partition separated them, and their voices traveled through black telephones mounted on the wall. Do you still have the picture? He asked. Yes. I kept it because I was afraid to forget what I had done. Claire looked at the man who had raised her, failed others, and finally spoken when silence could no longer protect him. I am keeping it for a different reason, she said. So nobody can make us forget again. That night, in her dorm room, Claire placed the photograph inside the top drawer of her desk. For 15 years, Ethan had stored it face down beneath oil-stained receipts. Claire left it facing upward,